Hey boys and girls, it's KnightStalker here. Welcome along today to Agolia Siege. Check it out. Today we're going to do a little bit of a battle breakdown. This is a game I recorded just while I was playing over the holidays when I wasn't really making videos. So I kind of hit record but never made any voice, I don't think, for it. I can't find a voice file for it anyway. So we're going to use this battle and we're going to talk about the unit interactions, but particularly today that we've got 3 pike units. So hopefully I can teach you a little bit about pikes and you can learn a little bit more about it. Don't forget, I found out today most of my chat room doesn't know that I have a merch store. If you want to go down to the video description, you can find a place to buy a t-shirt if you'd like a t-shirt. I like selling t-shirts. I make about $2 per t-shirt, so hopefully that they're not super overpriced or anything like that. Give me some feedback on that if you like. Or if you want the older logo or anything like that, what could I put in my t-shirt store? Please feel free to comment on the video. So anyway, now we're here to talk about pikes. And we'll talk about what's going on. Now, the very first thing we do is, if I just skip that back again, as soon as you right about now, see how that zooms out? You can hit the control key and straight away take control of your unit, and it will bring up the little hand icon to adjust onto towers, right? So the point is there that apparently I was talking to someone in this video. So if you need quests and things to get along your seasonal units or your challenges, your weekly challenges and things like that, you can use that to get them. So see how I'm using the very tip of the spire here as the aiming point for the cannon. And you can sort of adjust off that one point. This cannon, this particular culverin is very easy. This person wants to be in a video, I can see quite clearly. And from there you can sort of adjust off and adjust on. One thing about this particular map, and there's a couple other ones as well where you can shoot down the walls, somebody has to get that done to give you more access points to the castle. So especially if you're pushing a siege tower or a siege ram, you've got all this time to spend and you can just sort of blast away quite happily, particularly if you're a support character like a longsword. Short swords can probably go climbing the walls and bombing on the enemy artillery or something like that. Dual blades can be hunting. Bows and muskets can be trying to find an angle. But you've got a few hero types that don't do that particularly well at the start of the battle, longsword being one of them. So if you can find a spot to take out enemy artillery or spend a bit of time knocking down these walls, it's really helpful for your team. So don't be afraid to sort of do that. Tick tock, tick tock. Let's skip forward a little bit, shall we? So here we go. So what have I got here? I've got my Metallurgy pushing in. See how I can see the gate opening? The obvious thing to do is run them away because they cannot win in close combat there. And these people don't really want to come out of the gate because they're becoming very exposed. Well, unless, of course, like a musket unit, for whatever reason, is in the way. Now let me just pause it, because what I'm doing here and what these farmers are doing, see these farmers from the friendly, we're trying to save these muskets, right? Because the Metallurgy unit and the farmer unit are worth nothing, particularly the Metallurgy. Their only useful job is to push in siege equipment. They're not good for anything else whatsoever, unless it's this, and that's getting in the way of enemy units that are assaulting units that are trying to escape, or your heroes falling back and things like that. So this is quite good. I see the farmer is decided to help as well, but we're going to be always doing minimum damage to something like Iron Reapers. But don't bring a unit like this out at the start of the battle. Like these Iron Reapers well, they could probably pull back and save maybe half the unit if they'd done it in time, but whoever sent these out here didn't make a great decision, because all they did is kill most of a unit of Māoris and most of a unit of farmers. And while their stats at the end of the battle might look cool, look, I got an extra 30, 40 kills, but those kills are worthless. Like, don't go out of your way to kill peasants just for the unit kills. It's absolutely worthless. It's 3 or 4 unit kill points per guy. And all the time you see people rushing out at the start of the battle to kill off peasants and things like that on their own. It's different if you've got a 5-man team and you're bringing out all 5 of you to go and seriously disrupt the enemy siege pushing and things like that. That's a different tactic. But if you're going to go out there in 1s and 2s with your armigers or your keshigs or whatever, you're just not going to be successful. All you're going to do is kill peasants and delay the push of the siege equipment very little. So never ever risk your unit to kill peasants just for the sake of killing them. One of the positives about doing a battle breakdown where I'm just talking is that I can drink whiskey while I talk to you, so that's fun. So the thinking here is I've either got to push up the siege towers or push into the A point. With this map, the B point, if you capture the B point, you'll almost always get A for free. So you don't want to spend a lot of time risking on A point here. Now with these Fortebraccios, they only have one ability, and that's brace. Now when you're using the F3 formation, the cube, they will automatically brace. And when you find someone with a big line of shields like these guys, this is the best time to use this formation because they can't get in amongst you. One of the more meta things at the moment to use is to use the F1 open formation and use the 1 key to brace like that, which is devastating to cavalry units and covers a lot of space. So what we want to do here is we want to work with this heavy unit in front of us to protect them while they protect us. The strength of these two units together is incredible. See how that pike wanted to get in there and start causing a bit of damage? If he had committed to that, he would have died straight away. By the way, pikes and brace, any pikes and brace will do multiples of damage to anything that charges into them. Let me just pause while I talk about this. The speed of the charge, or of the movement towards the pike, increases the damage. So anything from a short sword or a longsword charge to like the pike lunge, cavalry charges, or even just cavalry moving at speed, the run doctrine, the movement doctrine, anything that increases your movement towards a pike will also increase the damage. And that's kind of same in reverse, but the problem is that you can't really get the pikes to be moving at speed, and that bonus only includes when they're in brace. When they're in open formation, they will not get that particular bonus. And again, if you haven't watched a lot of my videos, pikes do full damage at the tip. So where I've placed these guys, the tips are extending just beyond the unit of Palace Guard in front here. And that's exactly what you want. Any heroes trying to dive into them are in the thick of the pikes. Any cavalry breaking through them will never reach the back line of them because the pikes will instantly delete them. These pikes are these particular ones, 40s, are about to get a buff in the upgrade like tomorrow. By the time this video releases, they will have had a buff. And the important thing is that full damage at the tip, but if the enemy get all the way in here, say where me or this guy are standing, these pikes actually can't damage them at all. They do 0 damage when they strike. And you can use that to your advantage too. If you've got a shield, or you're a short sword or a long sword, you can sort of come in the side of the unit and come across the front, and then they'll start attacking you instead of what's behind you sometimes. And all those hits will do 0 damage. So you can very easily disrupt this unit in close formation, and when we come to the open formation, I'll show you more about that too. So as you can see, that pike is just going to get melted unless he gets out of there. Cause a little bit of disruption, but we're just going to keep up the healing. We're going to get a healing buff too this week. So now the shields have come up, and that's even better because the shields are going to protect us, and we're going to protect the shields. So that they're moving up in the hope that I'm going to move up. If I don't move up to support them, they're all going to die. So I'm committed now. But they're also committed because if they run away, my pike unit will die. It's very symbiotic. You can see we've moved up here. What's happening here is some of the units are very close, but I can see that this unit of Palace Guards are going to kill everyone that's too close and will start causing some damage. Look at all these damage ticks. They're not huge. We've got between 2 and 900, say. And those add up over time because we're so tightly packed. There's 32 of us with a very small frontage, and the damage is quite intense because of simply the amount of pike tips pointing out. See the longsword here, second toughest character in the game, shall we say, arguably, and he's just going to melt because of all the pike tips. And when these Imperial pike guards start marching in, one of the things about these shields is that Imperial pikes marching into shields will not break the shield line. You will not knock over the shields. That includes stalwarts, spear sergeants, Imperial spear guard, iron cap spears, anything with the big shield, heavy shields. Without breaking down the shield line, they will not be disrupted by the Imperial pike advance. Unfortunately, as you can see, this guy here has been hit. Anyone who's hit will drop their shield briefly, and we'll be able to sort of walk through. However, Imperial pike guard do almost no damage on their own. Their only purpose is to knock down units or stop cavalry charges, and they're much, much, much better at stopping cavalry than knocking over a bunch of infantry, because they end up sort of in the middle of the infantry bunch and get picked on. But it's very circumstantial and very situational. Let's have a look. So as you can see, our brace pikes here are now just doing absolutely huge numbers of damage. So we're just sort of blending up. Now when I do this, watch this. I know that these guys here are not going to be able to get damaged by my guys. And in fact, my guys won't be able to do any damage in return. So we're going to have to either, our team are going to have to clear this immediate front of the pike line where the blue is, or I'm going to have to do it with my hero. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to simply clear it out. And then those pikes will be able to kill everything at the tip of their pike, rather than doing no damage at the front. And when, as you saw there, let me just go back again, we went into open formation, and what that does is it makes the damage very, very, very intense in a small area around the unit. And what you want to do is you want to get into a habit of microing these guys. Move into the formation, hit V. Move into the formation, hit V. The only time you're going to sit in the formation is when things are charging immediately to your front. You don't want to put these guys in a formation round a corner and hope that the enemy units are going to walk into it, because it won't be the enemy units. It'll be the enemy short sword and the enemy maul and the enemy longsword who walk into this unit, and they will absolutely destroy it before you even got much of a chance to react. So this unit, even though it looks like a static unit, really isn't. Alright, I hope this is helpful for you guys. I've done another couple of breakdown battles. Like, if you search battle breakdown in my channel, you'll find that there's 3 or 4 of these videos, if you want to have a look at some of the other ones. Anyway, we're capturing A. There's not much going on here, so we'll just sort of skip through the battle a little bit to the point where we're actually up to some skills. Not skills, up to some battle. Alright, so what's going on here is, here's one thing. Can we sort of skip back a bit, and I'll just try and pause it at the right moment when we can see well. Now, as we talked about, pikes do full damage at the tip, and they do no damage at the user. And it's more pronounced with the fortebrachios because they have a very long pike, so it's very easy to demonstrate. Now, when these pikes brace on the stairs, see the pike here is through the stairs, right? Can you see that? It's kind of blurry for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on there. But the pikes no longer, if these units, enemy units, charge down the stairs here, pikes are not capable of angling up or angling down. They always stick straight out in front, and they have a very small hitbox. So see, this tip here has a hitbox of about this. Okay. Anything outside of that, either up or down or sideways, will not be hit by the pike. So this one you can come around it like this, for example, or above it or underneath it. And that's very, very critical for pikes and braces, that you understand that they cannot ever work on stairs, because either their pikes extend out into the void, into space if you're looking left, or into the stairs looking right, and anything approaching them will not be hit. The shorter pikes, like say pike militia, are a little bit less affected by this because their damage scales differently, because it's a short pike, so at the tip it's still doing maximum, and at the user it's still doing less, but because it's shorter it scales differently, and you can actually do some damage at the middle of the pike where you can't do it with the fortebrachios. But this is the most critical thing about pikes, is they do not work on stairs at all. Pike militia, short pikes, semi-effective. Do not use pikes on stairs, ever. Oh, that's a bit of garbly. Okay. So let's have a look here. We're thinking about trebbing. When you have these defending units and you see an enemy unit come up, enemy hero come up, especially the siege towers with the ladders, they go up on top and stand still. And especially if there's something that doesn't make sense, like a poleaxe or a longsword goes up and stands up there. A ranged character will go up there for height to try for headshots. But if a melee character is getting up high like that and is standing still, you can almost guarantee that a trebuchet is coming in. Right, so keep that in mind. So we're pushing our pikes up. Now they're effective because they're on the flat ground. Anything charging in here will not only be in the pike's threat range, shall we call it, threat zone, they will also be in a very concentrated area of pike tips. So at this point I'm kind of like looking down here, right? I'm looking down here. I can see we've got a lot of our guys pushing over the side. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heroes. And some of them are already up on the wall. I'd say they probably climbed up on the ladder. I can't see it yet. But either way, that's going to be good. By the way, down here, if we look that way again, there's actually like a little hiding spot. See where the road comes down and it goes behind? There's a little place there where you can keep a unit of cavalry. So that is, or infantry obviously, but that's something to be aware of. They can hide there and you can't even see them. So the threats here. The threats here are the Iron Reapers, very dangerous unit, and they have an ability, Tiger Step or Tiger, I don't know, number 2 ability, but it makes them immune to CC, so the Pike Brace won't be effective on them. The old Grandpa Garrison here, the GG Garrison, the big rack of shields at the front are one of the most successful shields in the game in terms of block recovery, so a unit of Fortebraccios will not be able to break through them. No Pikes will be able to break through them unless you use some crowd control on them, CC, but also they have another ability that makes them immune to CC for a little bit. Their 2 ability will heal them, so they're very dangerous to a unit of Pikes with that big wall of shield there. So you've got to keep an eye on this. If they charge you, they do have a very dangerous charge, but if they charge you in your embrace, they will die. So, here we go. There's some cavalry that was hiding around the corner. Yeah, see this over here. Right, so I'm going to bring them down and I'm going to go and brace to protect this corner. Now, what's going to happen here is the worst case scenario for this unit. See how the Iron Reapers there were immune to my charge? The problem is now is that they're in their special ability, so I have to run the Pike unit away because these guys are in so close that any hits on them will do no damage. Do you see how we're doing no damage at all? So we run them away. Don't be afraid to run them away. I'm going to push them up. Notice how this unit, as it gets in lower numbers, gets thinner in width, not thinner in depth. It will always have a 3 Pike depth. 3 or 4. 3? Is it 3? Pretty sure it's 3. 3 Pike depth. 4 Pike depth? It's 4 Pike depth. There we go. Now, we're going to utilise our team shield. We're going to use our own Grandpa, GG Garrison, as cover, so that the enemy cannot get through to the point of the unit where they're not doing any damage. The other thing is that we have the brace stun doctrine on this unit, so any units that get hit by my Fortebraccios will also not be able to attack our friendly unit. Now we're going to offset them here. See this? Because we've got very long reach, here's the thing as well. When they brace, they can actually probably hit most of the way across that doorway, even though it looks like it doesn't. And anything charging in this way will still take full charge damage into the Pikes, just because of the way the mechanics work. Ignore physics and reality. But that's kind of what's happening here. These Modau should probably shift off to this side or this side, and these Grandpas should come back and block the gate just behind where the Pikes will damage. So anyone fighting the Grandpas will be stunned at the same time as fighting them into their devastating spear formation. What actually happens is not much. The Modau get greedy and they want some kills on those Reapers. They get a few. Not to worry, it all worked out well in the end. And then we're pushing on. So we see this cavalry here. The cavalry see the Modau. Modau are just utterly devastating to cavalry, so they won't be pushing through at all. And they can also see these big long Pikes, which are pretty filthy. Now, this is where we're going to do a bit of that micro we talked about, I think, from memory. So we're going to bring them into a block, hit the V key, intense damage on the stragglers. Bring them into a block, hit the V key, intense damage on the stragglers. And this counts, oh, there's the cavalry, right? Cavalry touching Fortebraccio Pikes and brace die instantly, especially when there's a unit of Grandpas and a unit of Modau there as well. Like that, they obviously didn't look before they sent their cavalry in, and that was just instant death to them. At this point, I decided not to send my unit back because I have a longsword I can heal with, and it takes a long time for Fortebraccios to get around the map. So, the placement here, the concept is anyone coming down those stairs will get stabboed. So that's the plan, and we're kind of just going to hang around here for our team to reset. At this point, a lot of our team are using damaged or part units, and they need time to get back to the supply point and heal up. By the way, these doors that are easily knocked down by melee attacks, use them at an opportune time. Like, don't just use them for the sake of using them. Use them to trap a hero inside, or use them to trap half a unit, or a unit that wants to retreat to supply point. Close them and kill the unit or kill the hero. It's much more worthwhile than just, for no reason, just closing it because. Here we go, there's some Imperial Pike Guard, I think that was. And we're just going to go into open formation here. Block them up, hit the V key. Block them up, hit the V key. And of course, we know that a lot of cavalry come out of this gap. That would be prime cavalry time, and the cavalry players do not disappoint. We don't move. Don't be tempted to come out of brace. You know, it's not going to work for you. The way to beat cavalry is embrace. And if you get jumped when you're not embrace, well, you're just going to have to hit that V key and hope something happens. Now that our infantry guard in the front, i.e. our meat shields, are dead, we need to just sort of pop back and retake this position and use the very, very long reach of the pikes for anything coming around that corner to be devastated. So these X-Raiders, I'm not quite sure what they're up to, but this isn't the place for them. They haven't got the range, and they haven't got the ability to go in there by themselves without dying. We do notice that our friends are fighting here. So we come across, and the idea there was we wanted to use our stun on our brace so that our units take less damage, but it wasn't necessary in the end. Now, I can see out here a couple of heroes, and I've obviously watched this before. So somewhere around here, we should be seeing some cavalry. There they are there. Now we're getting ready for the cavalry charge because we know it's coming. And we know that they can't hit anything because there are no targets there. Do you see how they're doing very little damage because they're up close? I made an error there. So we're going to reform them into brace and see how we go. Unfortunately, we've kind of pushed into this deadly hail of fire and we've only got half the unit left. So error was made. They don't have a shield. They die pretty quickly. For whatever reason, I'm talking to my team. So we've got less than 3 minutes left and we really need to make a push on the point. But our team actually already underway, so it was kind of unnecessary. Now here's a mistake. This is what I'm doing here. I can see on the map here, look at this. Can you see we've got a combat going on over here? I'm assuming everybody there is engaged. What I'm worried about is there's a supply point over here that you can pop cavalry out of and come around and come straight up the stairs killing us. So my position here makes sense in that context. However, what I didn't realise is that the cavalry actually somehow came around this melee and are actually charging us on the back. So that was a bit unfortunate. And when that happens, that's just life, sadly. We're going to use my ult here to stun cavalry. Cavalry who are stunned cease their charge. Things that stop cavalry from charging are crossbow bolts, specifically not all crossbow bolts, generally only the higher tier crossbows. Musket rounds will stop cavalry. What else? CC from heroes will stop it. Artillery will stop it. Something like a grape shot cannon, a green grape shot cannon, can sort of diminish the charge of a cavalry unit. Obviously pikes can stop them, and fire, if they're not fireproof, can stop them as well. Anyway, let's skip through this death and we'll get back to the point. Oh, that's hit me what I say. See here, I can see I'm spawning into a combat, so I chose the modal because what I expected was a whole bunch of either infantry or cavalry here that I had to fight immediately on spawning. I see this guy trying to pull out a unit, so I dash over here. As soon as you touch the circle, any units that they're pulling out immediately cancels. So if you can see them on the circle waiting for a unit to come out, a good thing to do is to run up and quickly just touch it, even if you just touch it and move back so you're safe, right? You can just sort of pop onto it and then retreat. And repeat if you have to. So we now have the Imperial Pike Guard, and you probably look at my bottom left corner here and go, what? So we have number 1, brace. The brace of this unit is terrible. Number 2 is their premier ability, and that is the Pike Advance, which will knock down many, many people and stop cavalry charges. 3 is a charge, a low damage charge. It is a doctrine. Number 4 is the sprint doctrine, which will give them 8 seconds of 15% movement speed increase. When I'm moving this unit around, I like to have them in this circle, but when I'm engaging, they should be in this open formation number 1 because it broadens the amount of... Oh, let's just go back there. When you use the number 1 formation, it broadens the amount of hits that they can do. The F2, if you advance in the F2 formation, it's almost like there are holes in it. It's really weird. Try it if you like in the training room. Go to the billeting officer in town. Just hold down the shift key and click on billeting officer. That'll take you into some unit training if you want to practice. And the F3 is only when I really want to advance upstairs, because don't forget, we know that pikes don't work on stairs, and that includes this unit in their advance. However, when you're nice and clumped, by the time that the enemy gets all the way up to the pike, even if it's doing no damage, it's still giving them the CC effect of the number 2 advance. Anyway, let's talk about this little combat that's happening here. So what's happening here? Let's just talk about that. We've got in here, you see our Modal. We've got some pike militia bracing against this charge, and we've got the Imperial Pike Guard who are going to countercharge here and knock down that entire unit. These here, the Palace Guards brace. They have a 2 ability where they move up and they just kneel. They're immune to CC effects, carry control effects for 5 seconds, and they do just monstrous damage. However, if they are affected by CC already, i.e. from an Imperial Pike Guard or a hero, whatever else, a Treb, they cannot get into the brace. So if you can get your CC in before they can get into their brace, you prevent them from activating their most powerful ability. So what's happening here is these guys are advancing in this direction. So the enemy Modal see that that's happening and they see a flank opportunity. What they're not expecting is the second unit of Pike Guard to then come in and knock them down. And once something even as tough as Modal, because these guys Modal are getting a buff tomorrow, I think it is, but by the time this video releases they will have had it. Once they get knocked down, they can no longer use any of their defensive abilities or anything like that, and they just get cleaned up. We didn't do any damage with the Pike Guard whatsoever, really. We did a little bit of damage, okay? We didn't do no damage, but they're not there to do the damage. They're there to crowd control the enemy. And once you're on the ground, our Modal and our other pikes and our other infantry jumped on these guys who couldn't defend themselves and just slaughtered them. As you saw there, it took seconds, right? The other thing is, when they get to the end of their advance, their number 2 advance, you can quickly press the number 1 key and they will drop into brace where they are. There's a caveat though. Watch this, watch this. Hit the 1 key, they go into the brace. So here's the thing. The first thing is their brace is terrible. It does very low damage. By the time you've finished your advance, it tends to be all split up and things like that. Often it's worthwhile pulling them out rather than bracing them. They're not going to beat anything in brace. They're not like other pikes braces. They're actually terrible. I cannot express that enough. The brace of this unit is just terrible. So your options are to pull them back out. That's what this 3 ability here is for. You don't just have to charge into combat. The other thing is you can charge, like say you want to hit this unit here, right? You can charge across this way and advance this way. And it happens very quickly and gives the enemy very little time to react. You can just use the charge to be able to move faster. The other thing is you can charge out of combat, and that's a quick way to leave a dangerous situation. With this unit, you want to trigger your ability, your 2 advance, when it's appropriate to do so, and then you want to pull back and hold on to the unit to recycle. A lot of people like the top line of this unit because it looks like it's the advance line. It gives you more damage on your advance, it makes them advance further, and it makes them advance farther. That is not necessarily a good thing, because you get all the way out of your formation. All you want to do with this unit is typically stop a cavalry charge, or, in this instance, prevent our blob getting flanked. You're not there to do damage. You're just not there to do damage at all. So I go bottom line with these guys, which makes them much tougher, which means I get more advances out of them typically. So, the other thing is, if you're going to use the advance and then brace, this unit will brace in the direction that they were facing before they started their advance. So F1 and F2 formations, they will brace looking forwards as they were when they started. If you're going to use the F3 formation, by the time you advance and finish advancing and hit your 1 key to go into brace, they will brace facing the way they started with. And because it's a circle, half of the unit is facing backwards, quarter of the unit's facing backwards, half of the unit's facing side to side, and only 1/4 of the unit's facing forward. So You've got to remember that when you use this unit. If you're going to brace at the end of your advance, don't use the F3 formation. Anyway, we see a couple of heroes here who need knocking down, and conveniently there's a grape shot cannon there that we can pick up at the same time and get a nice shiny medal. See the mess of the brace that they're in? Another idea, see how I've dressed these guys up as peasants? They look like pike militia, which is why I do this. So all we're trying to do now, the concept is we're going to continually bomb these stairs and brace at the bottom of the stairs to try and keep as many units and heroes off this point as possible while we capture it. I can be fighting the heroes, so could the short sword, but we're better off watching this here, this blob, so that we can charge in and rescue. All of the DPS and assassin heroes are better off sniping at the heroes. Do you see there? Did you see what I did there? Did you? We won't rewind it. I used the F3 formation at the top of the stairs so that they condense and move up, and then I advance. At this point, I've given up on the unit. We're about to win the game. Do you see how little damage they're doing, and the number of hits they're doing is negligible because they're advancing upstairs. I brace them anyway just to be in the way because I simply don't care about the unit anymore. And we continue. See our team is going to treb them. All we have to do is continually hold this point. Well, there we have it, boys and girls. Can you tell me in the comments if videos like this are useful to you at all? If you're a new player or a veteran player, did you learn anything new? Please give me some feedback on how this video went for you. It's kind of long. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. Let me know. I really want to know. Do you want to see more of this video type? Please indeed give me the feedback. But anyway, boys and girls, I hope you learned something new, or you just enjoyed the video anyway. 36 kills. Thanks so much for coming to my channel.